Yeah, so this is Kevin Sharpley. I'm just a little bit out of sorts because I walked into this phone booth, and the next thing you know, I'm on Mark Who 42. I just don't understand it. How did this happen?
Welcome to Marku 42, the only podcast where we are busily trying to see how we can create the Quizarts Hatterack. I'm your host for today, Eduardo M. Freyre. I am not the Quizarts Hatterack, apparently not for trying, but sorry, I'm not the super being. Mark is not with us. He wanted to do some heavy research for this episode. Got a little bit too much into the spice. Apparently, he's wandering the desert looking for Shai Hulud. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but I don't know. I think he's just really seriously ODing because I can't read a single thing he wrote in this text message.
I hope he's listening to some Pink Floyd.
There you go. That'll bring it.
No, I don't know. I don't know how to translate what he wrote. I just think he started typing. I don't even think these are real words. But hey, with me today, first off, we have the Bene Gesserit of the show. That's you, Vicky.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just was not sure if that's what you meant or not. Okay, yes. Hi, I'm Vicky Jakubowski.
Well, as far as I know, there are no male Bene Gesserits.
Well, until.
And then meanwhile, we have, he's not a Fremen, but I'm sure he could rock the still suit.
Design Quiros.
Yep. Now, of course, everybody knows to make sure to walk without rhythm to avoid attracting the worm, right?
I mean, but the worm is cool. Oh my god.
I do like
but he'll eat you. Anyway, as I'm sure you can guess by all the terminology that we're throwing about here, today's episode is all about Dune, directed by Denis Villeneuve, right?
Yes.
Villeneuve. Okay, Vicky, you took what was it? A couple of years of French?
8 or 10.
8 or 10. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just 8 or 10. No biggie. Okay. Well, you know what? Hey,
The thing is, it's still been 30 years since the last time I took French.
Yeah, but you're going to be our French expert. You're going to be a French expert, so I'm going to make sure. So to make sure that I do not mispronounce Mr. Villeneuve's last name, and if I've already done it twice, sorry, but
it's all fine.
Yeah, this is our French expert here.
Did anyone see Blade Runner 2045 or whatever?
25. I think it's 2049. Yes. Yeah.
Was it good?
He directed that one also. Yes.
Oh yeah, actually, when after I saw Blade Runner and I saw that he was going to helm Dune, I'm like, yes, yes, okay, third time might actually be the charm. But one thing I do want to ask before we get into the heavy stuff on this movie, first of all, has everyone here read the book?
It's funny. As soon as I heard that we was doing this, I ran to Barnes & Nobles and bought the book to try and read it. But school got into the way, so I got through a good 75 pages. But yeah, so I got to a little bit of it, but that's about it.
Okay, well, you know what? Fortunately, this is Dune Part 1, so that means you're okay right now. So hey, 75 pages in, that's fine. What about you, Vicky?
Last time I read the book was about 30 odd years ago.
Okay, so all right, that's still we'll still count it. Yeah.
And I had reread it right before the 80s version came out. And
oh Lord. Okay.
I do wish that, first of all, I love the 84 version because it got the spirit, and even the author of the book liked the movie with the changes they made and everything else because he found it entertaining and he felt that it kept the spirit of his book. Yes, did it keep everything? Hell no. But there are some things that they decided to change in this version that, I'm sorry, upset me because I thought it was crucial in the book. And it was one of the things that the 84 movie did dead on right. And that
Okay, all right.
Internal voice. The fact that we had no internal voice. And my son watched this with me and he's like, they got these long spanses where he's just staring off into the horizon. But you don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what's going on. And it drags on forever. And I said, that's why the inner voice worked in the book in the first movie.
Interesting. Now, Zion.
Yeah.
Have you seen the David Lynch version?
No, I have not seen
you have not.
Doing. Yeah.
So this is okay. So wait. So this is. Let me see if I understand this right. This is your first dive into the world of Dune.
God bless you.
Oh my! Oh, whoa! Holy! Wow!
Without those first 75 pages, yes. And I was so reluctant to do this interview because I wanted to finish the book before I watched the movie.
Right.
But I still did it because I love you guys. And yeah, it's funny that Vicky says that because like I got into the theater kind of late, so I thought I was missing stuff. But like how movies work when they say the year, it is at the beginning. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And then like 15 minutes go by, and then the book starts. Like when he's with the old lady and just put his hand into the box.
Oh yeah, put your hand into the box, young Atreides.
Into the book, she was like very surprised of how long he kept his hand in the box. But she's like, oh my god, is he actually the one? Yeah, and like I come into this movie, and the way that she's portrayed is like she's like extremely skeptical, and like I was like, why is she like that? When like I read it, and she's like, oh my god, I think he's actually it. So and then when you said that there was no inner voice, like, oh my god, there actually is no inner voice because a lot of it at the beginning is just him thinking to himself and she thinking to herself. And I kind of that's interesting.
Well, I had to explain so much. Now, I would love to see Lynch's 3-hour version that before the studio got a hold of it and cut it in half. He is never going to touch it again, but someone somewhere has got to have in an archive. I would love to see the 3-hour version.
Well, I know that with the Lynch version, there's like two basic versions that we have.
Yes.
Version 1 is the Lynch, version 1 is the one is this 2.5-hour one, which I mean, quite frank, I mean, here's the thing, it's like Zion, if you're brave enough, I would say go check out the David Lynch version. You basically have two different flavors. One is a 2.5-hour version that condenses a lot.
Right.
And the complaints I've heard about it is that, okay, well, visually it's very beautiful. It's visually it's stunning. And, but the problem is that there's a lot of stuff that gets condensed, glossed over. So basically you'll watch it, you'll be like, my brain hurts. I don't know what's going on. And there is an extended, sorry.
So it condenses the entire book into a single movie, not like how
yes, it condenses. No. It condenses the entire book into roughly 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Originally, his original version was like 4 hours.
Right, and then it got cut.
Yeah,
it got cut up.
You can watch the theatrical version on HBO Max also. So actually, we watched the one. And I had explained a lot to my son. I knew what was going on because I knew the book and I knew the 84 movie. And so then we started watching the 84 movie. He's like, boy, that would have been so much more helpful if we had this stuff in the other movie.
Right.
Because the movie is not horrible, but there's so many things you don't know. It's not being explained. And I was a little upset, like Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Lady Jessica. She made this comment about how she was going to make the version so much better than the original version, who suddenly the actress's name is escaping me. But
wait, are you talking about the original, the David Lynch?
The 84, the
Lady
84
Jessica
version. So
Francisca
Thank you.
Annis. That's her name.
She is an amazing actress. And Rebecca said she was going to make her version more badass. You know what? Her version was whippier than Lady Jessica in the 84 version. So I was very annoyed by that.
Wait, you thought the Ferguson Lady Jessica was wimpier than
yes,
the
the
Francisca
Francesca,
Annis?
yes.
Oh, because actually one thing I did, okay, well, one thing about the David Lynch Dune, there is an extended cut.
Yes.
There's an extended cut that's like 3 hours. Lynch has nothing to do with that. He basically was like, I hate you guys. He's credited as like Alan Smithy and Judas Booth.
Correct.
So if you see those two names in the credits of the extended version, that's David Lynch basically saying, get my name off this. I hate you guys. I don't want to be credited with this.
Alan Smithy has been used for like 40 years for when I don't want my name to be on it.
Yep.
And then of course the Booth joke was it was a reference to
Judas.
Famous Booth.
Yeah,
yes,
the Bible
and Booth. I wonder what he's
John Wilkes Booth, yeah.
I think that Rebecca Ferguson was fine in it. And I would not have a problem with her performance if she didn't make a big deal that she was going to be so much better than Francesca. I'm like, whoa, lady. Never get too big for your britches. It always brings you down. Yeah. I will say that this is a stellar cast.
Oh, yeah. No, and one thing I do like, though, about the Ferguson, one thing I do like that the movie put in for the Atreides, yes, and it's something that Rebecca Ferguson's Lady Jessica did a lot, was the whole hand signal thing.
Yes, but that's not in the book. They did that because they wanted to take out any telepathy.
Yeah, and actually, I do like the idea of the Atreides using hand signals with each other. I think that's a cool little.
That would be fine if the actual thing wasn't telepathy. I mean, there are things that the 84 version changes that is. There are things that this changes the. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's like, okay, great. The sign language is great, except that it erased the fact that they have telepathy.
The sign language was telepathy?
Yes!
Oh my God. Why would you do that?
Well, here's, one thing.
Are we scared of like inner voices?
Well, the director did want to get away from the voiceover because there were many critics who panned it in the 84 version. As a matter of fact, it was the number one complaint by people who were not familiar with the book. And they didn't like the inner voice. They didn't like the voiceovers. The voiceovers, some of them definitely are hokey in the 84 version, no doubt about it. They encapsulate like 2 chapters in 5 sentences. It's like, whoa!
Well, that said though, I mean, we did have in voiceover young Virginia Madsen as the princess, so that's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's just unfortunate that some of this stuff was actually filmed and it was cut by the studio. So instead they put in the voiceover, and he finally agreed to do a voiceover, and they said, okay, we want like a 2-minute voiceover. He did a 7-minute voiceover. That was Lynch's FU to them. And it's hard when you have, anytime you translate something from a book to a movie, there's always going to be things lost. But I try to look at the movies as standalone. Okay, let's say you knew nothing about the movies. It's like the same with the MCU. They found a way to get all new fans with people who don't necessarily know everything like us.
Yeah.
And they did it well. I feel like the director lost some of it because a lot of people going, okay, I'm really confused. If you've never read the book or seen any of the other versions, I mean, I'm not even getting into the sci-fi TV miniseries version yet.
Yeah, which, by the way, I saw that. Yeah.
I have not seen that since it originally came out. I remember being good, not very visually stimulating, but they had a very shoestring budget, which
it's a Sci-Fi Channel miniseries.
I know. What am I thinking? I'm sorry. I felt like some of this great acting talent was wasted in this movie because there's so much, well, hold it, what happened? What's this? What's that? And of course, what none of the movies touch on, because it's actually in a prequel novel, is who Jessica really is. Now, do you know who Jessica really is?
Actually, I don't even think. Okay, I want to say maybe in the book it hints at it.
It hints at it, but it's in another book that it totally explains
Yeah.
that the Baron Harkonnen, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it the way that the author says to say it. I don't care what the director wanted to change. It's Harkonnen. Oh my God! Every time they say that,
Okay. Vicky. Deep breath. In,
okay, so
out.
the Baron,
There you go.
in an attempt to control the, to use David Lynch's term, space nuns, he rapes the Mother Superior. She gives birth to a child that is Jessica. So technically, Jessica is the Baron's child. So she is now both Atreides and Harkonnen.
Yep.
And she doesn't even know this. She finds out this in a later book. I don't remember how many books total we have. Was it like 7?
Oh boy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Okay,
And all of them say
you-
Dune in it. That's impressive.
Now wait a minute. You're counting like all these prequel novels that like Frank Herbert's son brought out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not just Dune. It's not just it's Dune. It's there's Dune, Children of Dune Messiah, Heretics of Doom,
Chapter House Dune.
There's
I know you start
the
to die at
Butlerian
this
Jihad. There's Dune House Atreides, Dune House Harkonnen.
Yes.
Dune, that one time we did that thing. Dune, we're gonna add more stuff to this, and it's gonna sound confusing as heck, but you're gonna buy it because here's a sandworm on the cover.
Yes, I know. No, I'm totally guilty of that too. But I think I only read the original Frank Herbert's books.
I read Frank Herbert's original book.
Yes.
I read Herbert's original book. I read the sequel, which I think the sequel is Children of Dune. And I read the Butlerian Jihad. So I know I read that. I know I read those. I read those. I definitely read those. But
so
yeah,
I think I only read all the way Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune. The others, I don't remember if I read all the way through because that was a little later.
I mean, I know at one point it's like I think Paul's son becomes like a giant human sandworm thingy. I don't know. I just know it starts getting trippy. It starts getting weird and trippy.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm walking here. But yeah, getting back to the movie. Speaking of the Baron, yes. I like Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron.
I think he did a fabulous job.
Do. And you know what? And here's the thing. One of the things I noticed is that his grossness was downplayed.
Which I regret because, he gets the curse because after he rapes Mother Superior, she curses him. And that's why he has the grossness.
Yeah, but honestly, I think I kind of like how he's portrayed here. I mean, yeah, we don't get. I know that the Lynch version, he had like an entire side of his face had like little pustules and zits and whatever you want to call them. But I kind of like here that I like how subtle the Baron is. Because I know that those of us who are Whovians in the group, Ian McNeice, Winston Churchill himself, played the Baron in the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries. It's like it feels like the Lynch version played up the grossness. The Sci-Fi Channel version played up that the Baron's how do I put this? His leanings. Well, his leanings, his habits, his tastes.
Yes.
This one gave the Baron kind of a quiet menace. Like Stellan Skarsgård's Baron is quietly menacing.
Like his kingpin.
Right. You know what? I like that. I like that. Yeah. Like he's the kingpin of the Dune universe. Yeah, I like that. I mean, he's still a glutton. You had poor Duke Leto. Poor Duke Leto's just sitting at the table. Stripped down to nothing. Which by the way, I'm sure that there are ladies and others out there who were upset that we didn't get to see little Oscar, but sorry. This did have what was it, a PG-13 rating?
Did it?
I think it was like PG-13. The point is the rating would not allow it. So sorry, ladies.
Okay,
sorry.
So like, are they human or are they aliens?
Well, technically,
I believe
these
human.
houses are they're descendants from humans that then went out into space, and so the idea is that this is many generations down when we're in space travel and everyone takes their own planet and they create their various. And he based each of these houses, which they don't go in too much, but they're based on like Atreides is based on ancient Greece. The Harkonnens were based, I think, on the Turks, if I remember correctly. It might be the and then so all the different houses, and of course I can't remember half of them anymore.
Well, on the other hand, it's like most of the houses we don't even hear about. It's all about the Atreides, the Harkonnen, and the ruling house.
Yes. And I love the actors in this. I could not picture changing one casting choice they've made, because I think that they all did an absolutely fabulous job.
They threw the entire book at this casting. Like I'll have to know just how much they spent just on it.
Oh Lordy, they probably, yeah. I mean, well, I wouldn't be sure. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a couple of, if there were like a few people in the cast who were fans. So, they were kind of like, wait, you want me to do the Dune movie? Sold. But wait, we're gonna discuss salary. Sold. Okay, so you don't sold. You want me to play Dave Bautista? You want me to play the Beast Raban? Okay. It's like, wait, but what about? I said okay, and then I said okay.
I have only one complaint.
Yes.
Because, and this came from the fact of my son watching it, is Zendaya's in it for about 5 minutes, other than a couple of 2-second flashback scenes. He's like, they made this big deal. Now, of course, she'll be more in the second movie because it will cover more of him with the Fremen. But William was like, they made her look like a major part of this. I said, she will be.
Yeah. It's like, she is, but she isn't. Yeah, well, thank goodness that part 2 has been greenlit. So,
Which I have to say that it was a little dorky that they weren't going to greenlit the second movie. So you guys were just going to leave it like this until you were sure going to make money and have everyone go. And so what?
I mean, I think we can talk about that later. But but yeah, I do think that there are some interesting decisions, and it could also be because of the history, of which we've been discussing a lot in this first half.
Sorry.
Because of the history of Dune. No, it's okay. It's kind of tough not to. I mean, you got to admit it's tough not to. But because of, I think, all the history that Dune entails, I have my own theories as to why they kind of waited to give the thumbs up, and why they didn't just
that's true. They were
why they didn't film it, why they didn't film it, back to back, so we could just release it, 1 year and then part 2 the next year, Again, I have my thoughts on that. I have theories, but yeah, Zendaya, you have her very prominent in the trailers, and then it's just like, she shows up in Paul's dreams, and then finally it's like, oh yeah, I'm real. It's like,
see, now I like
credits.
I would be surprised, but that happened to me with Luke in episode 7. So I was like, okay.
Oh,
so
that's true. That's true.
Yes and no. I mean, I seem to recall. I don't think a lot of the trailers showed him.
He wasn't in the trailers, but like the movie literally just said this movie's about finding Luke.
Yeah.
Where's Luke?
Yeah.
You can't find him.
Yep.
Ask the droid.
Yep. Well, they found him.
For 5 seconds.
But they still found him. And he
got paid for like what? An abysmal amount of some money. And that's why like I asked, because I can imagine that Zen and they are cashed out on just like a little bit of still shots and a little bit of pannings.
Yep. And with that note, we've got to go to commercial. But hey, when we come back, we'll be talking more about Arrakis, Dune, Desert Planet. There you go. There you go, Vicky. I did a little I did a little nod to the Lynch version in the inner dialogue. There you go. Happy?
Okay.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe here on Odyssey Radio.
Tooncast is dedicated to the cartoons we grew up with. 100 episodes and more make up one of the GCRN's most popular podcasts. Join hosts TFG and Mike, Optimus Solo, Terror the Rising Star, and tons of guest hosts. We also have voice actor and writer interviews. Tune in to Tooncast as we look back on the cartoons that defined us as geeks. You can find Tooncast on iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Tune in.
You are listening to Mark Who 42's universe on Odyssey Radio.
Welcome back to Marku 42, where the discussion is Dune. We probably didn't get to as much as you thought we might in the first half, but then again, Dune is a big book. It's a long movie. It's a long series. So can you blame us? Can you really, really blame us? Do you want us to David Lynch theatrical version of this and make it really short? You really want us to do that? Think about it for a minute. Okay, the minute's up.
Okay, come on.
We're wasting actual time on Odyssey Radio. That's sorry Odyssey Radio. But okay, so when we left off, we talked about a couple of great castings. We talked about Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron, and then poor Zendaya, who, here's Zendaya in the trailers, here's Zendaya, wow, listen to her, she's a great Chani. And then it's a lot of stuff happening, glimpses Zendaya, a lot of stuff happening, he's dreaming of Zendaya again. We're at the end of the movie, it's Zendaya! And roll credits. So yeah, that, hopefully part 2, now that it's been greenlit, they got on the phone, they were like, Zendaya, what are you doing next summer? Let's shoot this. You got a lot of scenes to cover. Trust us. But I really think we do have to talk about Timothée Chalamet.
I think it's Chalamet.
Chalamet. Okay, well, Paul. We have to talk about Paul. Oy.
I think Timothy did a really great job. And I would have loved to hear his inner thoughts, but
yeah, that's true.
He was very strong. And, of course, in the books, he's more like 16-ish. And
15. I think he starts off 15.
I think you're right. He starts off around 15, 16, and then, of course, progresses as the book does. And what's funny is Timothy, I think, is actually a year older than Kyle was in the 84 version.
Yeah,
but looks very young.
Yeah. See, I mean, I was gonna say it's like he, I think he might be a year older than Kyle the Twin Peaks guy.
Yeah, that one.
The Twin Peaks guy. He might be older, but he looks younger. That's the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Kyle in the 84 version.
Right.
I do. I really do. It's just you kind of don't. I mean, it looks like he and Francisca Annis could be siblings, not.
I believe they were
mother son. So it's like, and I know that James McAvoy, Xavier himself, and the guy from those 2 M. Night movies, he played Paul in the Sci-Fi Channel version, and
I forgot about that.
I thought he worked. I think those 2, McAvoy and Chalamet, that they both pull Paul off, at least physically, because they look like young men. They look like men who are, they look like young men who are, trying to get to, we're right there on the edge of adulthood. It's just, what's going to be that thing that pushes them there.
And I feel like Timothy has, he's got a great ability to show emotion with his face. So even though we don't have the voiceover, you at least get the emotion of what he's feeling. He does a very good job of having the poker face when he needs to, when he's dealing with adversaries. But when you do have him looking out into the horizon, and you do have him clearly feeling something, he does an extremely good job of bringing you in and making you feel with him, which is, I think, a mark of a very good actor.
Yep.
He doesn't have to say something. You could see it in his eyes. You could see it in Nixon's expression. He's very good at that. And at such a relatively young age, because I think he's only, what is he, like 26, 27?
He's 25.
25.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I have my...
So doesn't that make him the same age? Doesn't that make him the same age as 84, Paul?
I think he was a little younger, or he's a little older, actually, I think. Because I it may have only been a series of months, but I thought it was like a year older than Kyle.
Yeah.
But he just does a really good job that you feel like you've got a prince on the cusp of
kingdom.
You know, yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And of course, his father, Oscar Isaac.
Yep. Yep.
Oscar.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not sure if I've seen Oscar in anything that I have not enjoyed him in, even when he's not played a great character. It just, and I agree with you, that beard just gives such a regalness and presence to him.
Yep. Yep. And it's like he does, you know, the thing that I like about Oscar Isaacs as Duke Leto, and it's something I think he even shares it with William Hurt, who played Duke Leto in the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, that both of them, you believe them as rulers, as you know, politicians, but you also believe that, you know, when the crowds are gone, that he can be a good father. That, like, you know, the mask drops and his mission is to be a good father to his son. Like, you can actually believe, I feel like you can actually believe that.
So I have a question. Is this what, the 3 out of 4 sci-fi movies where he's died? Because he didn't die in Star Wars, he died in Dune, he died in Ex Machina, and he died in X-Men Apocalypse?
Did he die?
Like, oh, no, Vicky, no, Vicky, bad Vicky, no.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
It's okay.
Not to mention the Fox universe is doors kind of closed, so
yeah.
Even if they thought about bringing him back, it's kind of.
It just, and I felt like I actually liked his death scene better than some of the other death scenes. I just, his death scene with all these other characters around him and the Baron, and who just barely survives, and it just, I loved it because it felt more, I don't know, maybe more real. Maybe that's not quite the word I'm going for, but it just, it had a gravitas to it, and it had a certain reality to it.
Yeah, well, and there was also the I think also, like, for me, like the David Lynch version, we had Jürgen Prochnow of
I liked him.
I like him.
Mess with my
He was he was a good Duke Leto. What always freaked me out was after his death scene, after he, you know, tries to spray the Baron and gets Piter instead.
Right.
That, you know, we have Paul in like a spice-induced fever dream or something, and that we see the Baron, you know, what always freaked me out was the Baron clawing at Duke Leto's face, and you see like his cheek, you know, kind of ripped open.
Right.
I'm always just like, wow, okay, yeah, there's my nightmare for today. You know,
the effects of 1984 are not, the practical effects are fine, but some of these special effects from 1984 definitely feel like special effects from 1984.
Yeah. Well, you know,
that does not hold up.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Duke Lee. I love. Well, here's something. I mean, here's an incentive for you to watch the David Lynch version, Zion. So, Gurney Halleck. In the David Lynch version, he was played by Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Next Generation.
Yeah, pre-Next Gen, although still bald.
Well, honey, I've been watching him in the BBC, and he had been bald for quite a while.
Yeah. But the point being, for someone who has not subjected themselves to the Lynch version, you know, Patrick Stewart is a bright spot. I do like Josh Brolin as Gurney.
I do too.
Patrick Stewart was very regal, kind of noble warrior type thing. Whereas Josh Brolin, what I love is that this guy is hardcore. He's been through some stuff, he's seen stuff, and this is a guy who, if he's your drill sergeant, you are going to learn soldiering.
Yes,
and both have instantly recognizable voices.
Oh yeah,
yes,
oh yeah. Although there was a line by Patrick Stewart in the Lynch version. Paul says, "I'm not in the mood," and you get this line which can be slightly cringeworthy, where Patrick Stewart's Gurney goes, "Not in the mood, not in the mood. Food is a thing for cattle and love play." So yeah, you get that line, which is kind of like,
well,
okay, that's a little okay. Whoa,
the
but
casting works in this because this is a grittier version.
Yeah.
So we had very Victorian, which was also kind of in play with the original novel, and it was more of like a Victorian society. And so you have that more regal. Everyone in it is more regal. Half the people in it are Shakespearean actors.
Yep.
So you have that feel. This one, the director is trying to make it something that would make sense to most people nowadays. More of the guerrilla warfare, more of the how gritty it is. I mean, we look at the wars in the Middle East that have been going on since 2003, and you have a very different feel from the way war felt before. So that is a change that the director makes that I think is a good choice, because I think that the Victorian aspect of it would not make sense to most of today's movie-going audiences. They won't understand what that references. They won't get it. Yeah. And that to have that grittiness to it will make sense to so much of today's audience worldwide, because things are grittier now. Yeah. Things are tougher now. So you'd have to have someone like Josh Brolin and in a related note, Jason Momoa, who that aspect.
Yes.
Are the perfect fit for this movie in that aspect.
You know what? I actually, it's great that you name drop Jason Momoa, because I think that was the next character that I wanted to touch on, because Duncan Idaho, poor Duncan. The David Lynch version, he wasn't played by a big name. I think his name was like Richard Jordan or something, Richard B. Jordan. Not a guy that's instantly recognizable. But the other thing is that poor Duncan really doesn't get that much. Like, I think he talks to Paul, he talks to Duke Leto, and then when the Harkonnens are attacking the Atreides household, he dies. I mean, he doesn't even get to go out in a blaze of glory like Momoa did. He gets red-shirted. Like, there's no other way to say it. He gets red-shirted. It's like, you see him fighting, Paul's all like, Duncan! And then this, like, one of these, like, slow missile thingies, just penetrates the shield, and he did. And it's like, wow, okay. Damn.
But then he has the Carrie moment where he comes back to life for one last, kill them all. I mean, it took 30 bad guys to kill him. Come on.
Oh yeah, yeah. See, that's the thing. Momoa gets more to do, more stuff. I think I can see, the stuff that Jason Momoa gets to do. For me, it feels like it justifies the reason why. I see why the director was like, it's 2 movies or nothing. Like,
yeah,
I could see why he was like, no, if you want me to do this, it's going to be 2 movies. I'm not going to do this, David Lynch 2.5 hour thing. No, doesn't work like that.
Well,
not going to do it that way.
So I want to ask a question. When I was reading the book, there's something about how they have a rule of how you can't recreate AIs in the image of a person's mind. And I watched the movie, and they didn't really touch up at all about AI. Now I think about it.
Yeah, they really didn't. Yeah,
No.
I know in the in the 2.5 hour Lynch version, they didn't. In the extended cut, what they added was they added some kind of, they did add some sort of prologue to kind of set the world up, where they used paintings or like, production style drawings, and they had generic narrator man explain things. But yeah, basically in the world of Dune, there was like a Skynet style machine revolt that got put down, and as a result, yeah, AI is banned. Thinking computers are banned. This is why we have people like Piter in the Harkonnens and Thufir in the Atreides. They're basically human computers. It's like, okay, we're not going to use calculators because calculators will rise up and kill us. So we're going to make it so that you can do all these calculations in your head. So who needs a calculator? Just go to your Mentat.
Yeah, like, see, like I only brought that up because I read the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have that point in the beginning of the movie where the guy like has his eyes flip backwards and he calculates it. And I figured, okay, that's the human calculator guy. But like, if I didn't read the book, you'd be like, what did that guy just do?
Yeah.
And they never even touch up on it anywhere in there. And I find that kind of interesting because like you can't really fit everything in there, but like, it's like a big part as far as I can see in at least in world building, at least in the world of Dune.
Yeah. And they also, that's the, there's a lot of stuff they left out, like as far as world building, including a couple of crucial things, although hopefully when Dune Chapter 2 comes out, they spell it out a little bit more. I think next, as far as our little casting wheel goes, is Dave Bautista as the Beast Raban.
Yes.
I like Bautista. Oh geez Louise. I can't even remember the name of the guy who played him in the Lynch version.
It was kind of a throwaway character in the Lynch version, and they played up this Sting character.
Yep. Oh, Sting. Oh boy.
Okay, I have to tell you a funny story. I was reading some things, and Patrick Stewart did not know who Sting was when he got on this.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And they kept trying to explain to him that he was a musician in the police. So he thought he was a former policeman.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted to say, listen, Patrick, I know you were working at the Globe a lot, but how could you not know who Sting was in 1984? I'm very disappointed in you. And he now knows who he is, of course, but it's just one of those funny things that you kind of go, okay.
Okay then, hey. But there is a character, Sting. It's funny we should bring up Sting because his character, Fade Rotha, is a character that did not get shown in Dune Part 1.
Right.
But since he's such a pivotal part, hopefully, he's coming in Part 2. Hopefully we do get Fade's triumphant, because that was a big thing. I don't want to spoil it because you're only 75 pages in, Zion. But Raban's brother is a big part, and actually is a big part of the Baron's plans for Arrakis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like the idea of Raban being in Arrakis and being just this giant, SOB of a ruler. The Baron has an idea. He has an idea. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. There's, it's an idea that has to do with his brother Fade, and I know that it gets expanded that Fade was also a part of the Bene Gesserit plan.
Yes.
Like, there's a reason why the Bene Gesserits were telling Jessica, hey, if you're going to start dropping babies, it's got to be a female child. And why they got so mad when she's like, well, I really love this guy and he wants a daughter. So, and he doesn't want a daughter. He wants a son. So I'm going to give him a son.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, the Bene Gesserit were like, no, No.
You're messing with our prophecies.
You're messing, we have this little recipe for our little, for our Superman. You're messing with that. Please don't. No messing with our Superman plan. And I just realized what I did. It's like, oh geez, I just realized what I said.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see. I feel like, and I've seen this before in books turned into movies.
Yeah.
Yes, are there a bazillion subset stories on this? Of course there is.
Yeah.
But if you're going to, I do feel like, because we didn't, if you didn't know the books, there were some aspects you wouldn't really know what's going on. And some of the beautiful scenes we got, I felt like time was wasted. Even if they were going to do 2 movies, I'm like, there's so many things you're leaving out for him to stand there for 5 minutes and look at the sunset.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it's just like, if you were going to give us his inner thoughts, so we had a better idea of what was going on.
Yeah. Although I gotta admit, I love the look of Caladan, and I wouldn't mind having like a little vacation spot there. It's a little rainy. Okay, it's a little rainy, but it looks like this nice, cool vacation spot.
I do want to say that visually, I think they did an extremely good idea. I really like it. You really felt like you were in these places. They made the places feel so different. So no matter what planet you were on, you felt that planet. You felt like what it was, what it meant. And I will say that the production, as a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't have nearly as much of a problem with it if I wasn't already familiar with the book, if I wasn't already familiar with the previous attempts.
Yeah.
And although I probably would still be saying, okay, that's it. What the bleep?
Yeah.
I'd be like, hang on, there's got to be more to this story. What am I not knowing? What do I?
Yeah. Something I do want to bring up though is, and you were talking about that, Vicky, when you were talking about the visual style.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really liked, as far as style and as far as what, some of the stuff they did, as far as making you understand the world and what's going on. I'm thinking about the scene where Paul's on Arrakis and he sees the palm trees.
Yes.
And he talks with like the gardener, and he's like, "Well, do you want us to get rid of them?" And the gardener's like, "Oh, no. We revere these things. We love these plants." Later on, when the Harkonnen are storming,
and they're on fire.
Which, without even saying anything, that says a lot.
Says much. Yes.
Yeah, that says so much about the mindset. Like Paul is trying to understand. He's like,
right.
Okay, what's the deal with these things? Do you not like them? It's like, oh, okay, no, you like them? Okay, fine, yeah, they can stay. The Harkonnen come in, especially, and I wouldn't even be surprised. Like, they didn't say as much, but I wouldn't even be surprised if Raban was the one who was like, screw it, just burn him.
Right.
Because it's like how much because how much respect, the Atreides are, like the fact that when Stilgar, which by the way, Javier Bardem, love the casting. I can't wait to see more of him. Even though I love Everett McGill as Stilgar in the David Lynch version, Bardem was just inspired.
Yes.
To me, but yeah, Stilgar, when they meet with Stilgar does the spitting, and it's fun. Right. It's interesting that Leto and Paul pick up on it, and they're like, "Oh, yes. Okay, all right. Different house, different rules. Let's pay it in kind. And of course, Gurney's about ready to be like, I'm gonna make you drink that. He's
right
about ready to make him really regret it. Yeah, they got it.
The same thing in the scene, and you also get this in the 84 version, where you have Duke Leto saying, damn the spice, let's save the men who are about to be swallowed up by the worm. And both times you see the Fremen turn and look at the Duke, and you can, even without anything being said, you can see this guy's going to be different from the last jerks. This guy isn't the same as all the others. It's not just, again, another ruling house. And I like that because that's one of the things about the House Atreides is that they are different. They do, they're different from the Emperor. They're different from the Harkonnen. They are looking more for
allies.
Yes, they want to be friends. They want to, desert power. It's a very important thing. Desert power.
Yep.
And
something that was in the Sci-Fi Channel version that I don't know if it was like in the extended. It's been ages since I've seen the extended cut, but I know it was in the Sci-Fi Channel version. Little bit of a spoiler. Sorry about that, Zion.
No problem.
Something that I wish had been in this version was the dinner party. Like, I really wish we would have gotten the dinner party, because that says so much about Leto as a politician, Leto as a leader. The fact that one of and then not to mention you get little bits like the fact that one of the guests at the party was like being all dismissive and going, well, I hear the Fremen suck the blood of their dead, and Dr. Kynes being like, actually it's the water. The Fremen take the water out of the bodies of their dead. And the way that, like, I know in the Sci-Fi Channel version, Dr. Kynes' response was kind of just like, no, it's more like this, without any trace of like sarcasm or just like, oh, shut up, you ignorant noble. It was just kind of just like, no, it's more like this. So it's just like, I really wish that scene would have been in there. I really do.
Question. How did the previous two versions visuals deal with the sandworm? Because I can imagine in '86 you're watching a movie with Patrick Stewart and then it immediately switches to Doctor Who with a giant sandworm.
Yeah, the sandworms. Oh man,
they were still good looking. They were not as cool looking as this version,
but still they were freaky.
They were gnarly.
They were gnarly. Yeah, definitely.
Reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, which
Sarlacc,
does admit that he was completely influenced. Dune was one of his many influences. And there are some scenes in Tatooine that are very reminiscent of the book Dune.
Yeah. But on that note, though, we're running out of time here on our Odyssey Radio show. We got like less than a minute left. But hey, stick around because, if you're not, if you're listening to this on Odyssey Radio, go check out Geekcast Radio Network and other places where we are, because, we will be continuing this discussion. We will be doing more Dune. But for here on Odyssey Radio, I've been Eduardo M. Freyre with Vicky Jakubowski and Zion Quiros. And just want to say, remember, walk without rhythm to avoid the worm. Don't have too much spice. And the Beast Raban, not a good idea to invite to your dinner party.
No.
Gurney, though, he can use a space guitar, so you get music. Alrighty, bye everybody, or see you soon, whichever the case may be.
See you, Dune.
Nice.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe here on Odyssey Radio.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or geekcastradio.com.
All right, so hey, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, that's because you are on the Geekcast Radio Network, iTunes, or someplace else listening to Mark Who 42. So you know what? We're doing more Dune talk. Because hey, Dune is like how big is the book? I can't remember.
About 3 inches.
Big. I know it's big. I know it's like really big. I've got like remnants of my library on the floor of my home office. I could dig it out, but I'm just like, you know what? I should have done that before we started. I should have done it. But yeah, it's thick and it's got an encyclopedia. So
thank God.
Wow. Yeah. It's like, hey, if you don't understand anything, flip to the back, try to find it and be like, oh, okay, that's what they mean. All right, okay. I'm good now. I'm caught up. Oh geez. I don't know what I am. I'm something.
That's okay. So I've got to be honest with this movie.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to seeing the next.
Oh yes.
Movie,
I'm hooked. I'm hooked. Yeah.
Because right now I'm feeling like this is Dune light.
Huh.
You know, it's not complete. It's not. I feel like it's. Oh, I don't want to say it's like surface level because I don't feel like it digs in nearly as deep as it should. In some moments, it does, but you know. Yes, you got to leave out all the little subplots that go on because otherwise you'll be having a 68-hour movie.
Oh, geez.
You know, let's be honest. It's 400 plus pages, so you know that it is difficult to visualize.
Yeah.
That much information. But I feel like there's some things in this movie. It's very much at the surface. They're not going into the deep and the nitty gritty like with the dinner party and some other things. I just, you know, it's almost like the abridged version of Dune. Even if they have a second movie and they have it be another 2.5 hours, I feel like it's still going to be abridged, not just because it's going from a book to a movie, but because they're just not going to have some of the deep things. And I think some of the deep stuff is important. It's the same thing that the Lynch 84 version was lacking, is that they couldn't go nearly as deep as I know as Lynch wanted to. I don't know how many hours of film he actually shot, but I understand it was a lot.
Yeah, and I think I'm already hearing stories about deleted and extended scenes. So, and I know
it is somewhere.
I want to see.
Got it somewhere.
Okay, I want to say that so far he hasn't been like a big fan of. Oh, I want to do I want to do like a director's cut.
Refused to do it so far.
Yeah, but what I'm hoping is once we get to Blu-ray and DVD, etc.
Yeah,
that we do get at least like deleted scenes.
Yes,
that kind of thing. That like that, that sort of thing. You don't have to, you don't have to do a director's cut if you don't want to. I'm not one of those that's like, we needed a director's cut. Where's my director's cut? These scenes need to be
good. And these actors could do so much more. I feel like they were almost held back. And I realized that, the book is older than me, believe it or not. And by at least a couple of years. I think the first book was written in the 60s, wasn't it?
50s or 60s.
Yeah, I know. It's really bad when it's like, I can't remember. 1965. Haha. So it's a little older than me. But I really wish that this current director would delve more into it. There is so much scenery that these actors could be chewing. And I just feel like, Josh Brolin's character is a little too, and Josh Brolin is this amazing actor. And I think he brought great things to the character, but it felt like we got a dip of Josh Brolin. We got a dip of, Oscar Isaac, again, a fabulous actor. I don't feel like the Duke was truly realized because I feel like even in movie 2, we're not going to go backwards. We're not going to really see what was really, well, I don't know. Maybe we will. I could be wrong. I want to see more. And I know that in today's audiences, maybe they don't want. I don't know. Peter Jackson did a great job with 2 trilogies and gave us so much stuff that every time you watch it, even now, you still get more. I rewatched them all driving.
Okay. I mean, I agree with you. I love Lord of the Rings, although I think with The Hobbit, I don't think it needed to be 3 movies, maybe 2 at max.
Well, I'm glad that he brought in the other stories and everything else, but I'm a huge Tolkien fan, and I actually have copies of some of his other writings that, put it all in, because The Hobbit's a very thin book, especially by Tolkien standards.
Yeah.
And it just, why did all this happen? Well, we find out later when you read other books that he wrote or other papers that his son Christopher later wrote. And I think with this, you have the same thing that, yes, you could do it. Maybe this is better for the mass market. Maybe it's not good for someone like me who really enjoys the Dune books, who really enjoys what Herbert was trying to write. I mean, he was very much into ecology and environment. And there's that whole undertone that they do touch on in this book or in this movie. But in the book, it's so much more. And I don't know, maybe they were trying to make a more commercial movie.
Maybe.
And I do understand it was very popular, but not as popular as for Dune readers as it was for non-Dune readers. So if you know nothing about it, maybe you would enjoy this. My son was absolutely, he thought it was a good movie, but he's like, but there's so much that didn't make sense or he didn't understand, and I had to explain.
Yeah, I know that Trish is a how do I put this? She is a Dune virgin. Like she never saw the Lynch version. She's never read the books. She never read, and she enjoyed herself. Although, there was a few things that went unexplained.
Right.
But fortunately, I also tutored her before we went in. I did want to ask you something. I did want to ask, are you familiar with the version that Alejandro Jodorowsky would have done?
I know about it. And I think, and maybe this again is wishful thinking, but there's a lot of us out there that would kill to see that.
Yeah, I am. Okay. I had heard rumblings that there was supposed to be a version like in the 70s, and it would have had Salvador Dali and Mick Jagger and Orson Welles, and I heard about it. But then I saw, what was it? I saw the documentary. There's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune, which goes into it. And when I hear this stuff, I'm like, holy cow, this guy had ideas. He had some very trippy ideas.
Yes.
I think, although some of them were kind of like, okay. Like,
remember, it was the 70s.
Yeah. Well, it was like the fact that Paul was going to be an immaculate conception because Duke Leto was going to be a eunuch.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
So, yeah. The other thing that got me was Salvador Dali got brought in to be the Padishah Emperor, a character which, by the way, I really hope we do get something of in part 2. Like, and then one of Salvador Dali's ideas was that the emperor would have a toilet of 2 dolphin heads, so that one thing can go in one head, one thing can go in the other. And I'm just like, what? Like, I love Salvador Dali, but that's one of the things where I just have to be like, I'm sorry, what?
No, I have to agree with you on that one.
What the heck are you getting? What are you talking about, Salvador?
I could watch it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what he would have done with it, but I don't know how good of a representation of the book it truly would have been.
Well,
and I say that because some of the choices would have been very different.
Well, I know that Well, one of the things that I actually, when I heard about this, I'm like, holy moly, this would have been like so weird, kind of cool. He actually had this idea that each planet would have like its own soundtrack. I think
Kind of makes sense when you think about it.
yeah, I think he wanted Pink Floyd for Arrakis, and then he had this European metal band called Magma to represent Gedi Prime. And I'm just like, okay, wow, that's incredible. I know,
he
like,
also was trying to do like this deep dive into it, which I don't know if that could have ever been made in the 70s. And you know,
well, no, did you hear about how long his movie was going to be?
Wasn't it like it going to be 7 or 8 hours long?
Like 8 to 10 hours. But here's the thing. But hang on. This is the thing, though. It was going to be 8 to 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like you were going to be spending 8 to 10 hours in that theater. And it's like that's what made it crash. Like the big crash was that he had these ideas on how long he wanted it to be, and it was just like this is how I want it to be, and none shall tell me otherwise. And it's like the studios were like, no, if you want to do it as a bunch of movies, that's fine, but no, we're not going to do an 8 to 10 hour movie.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I'm
but
just
I think that we can get an idea of what it visually would look like, because the same people that were working on this, including Geiger, later came together and collaborated to make the 1979 Alien, the original Alien.
Oh yeah, like Geiger was a part of it.
So we would have seen there were a lot of the production and artistic team behind Jodorowsky's Dune would have been. We got to get a good idea, and I think that, in thinking about it that way, it works for Alien. I probably still would have gone to see it, even if it was 8 hours, because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I probably would want to break it up, and I probably would want to. I mean, my God, even Gone with the Wind had an intermission in it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude,
and that was only 5 hours long.
Oh yeah, and think about it this way. Also, like I think the Lynch version, they even put in like, I think some theaters. I'd have to ask Dad if he ever got one. Some theaters actually gave you like a little pamphlet or something to kind of summarize some talking points that would be brought up.
That. Because I actually, I saw it like 5 times. I lived on Fort Bliss, Texas, and on base we had a movie theater. Oh my God, I lived at that place. And I don't know, I think I saw Dune 4 or 5 times. I absolutely loved it. Was massively in love with the visual. Then I actually read the book afterwards. I saw the movie first, and then I read the books. And I just, for me, it made perfect sense. And I mean, you have to admit, because now this was the time when they all had, the mid 80s, you had a bunch of movies like Flash Gordon with music by Queen. Dune had music by Toto.
Yeah. Which by the way, honestly, I cannot I love the music. I love the music for Dune. I love Toto's.
I think it's why it's a cult classic to this day.
Yep.
Is it the best movie in the world? Oh God, no.
No.
But it is enjoyable to watch, and knowing that this is 1984 and some of the visuals, some of the special effects were particularly hokey because we had not perfected green screen yet.
No.
And it's funny because when you think about it, prior to Star Wars coming out in 77, Lucas had to, and have his later ILM team, they had to create these things from scratch because some of this stuff had never been done before, whether you are talking computer or digital graphics or anything else. And, which is why I think that 77's Star Wars holds up better than even something, 84 with Dune. I do think that the visual effects in the 2020 movie are very well done. They're very believable. They're very authentic. But I don't picture this one being cult status as much as you. I'm not sure Herbert would like this movie. It's a good movie. But it's not, to me, it's still not Dune enough.
Yeah, honestly, I'm trying to withhold my opinion until part 2 comes out.
That's true, because
and we can see the whole thing. Yeah, we can hold this because it could be a game changer,
Exactly.
But for me, I wouldn't be surprised though. I would not be surprised if, in the minds of some people, if this is third time's the charm, where having 2 movies, you get to dig, you get to get a bit more meat, you get to get a bit more. I mean, again, I think it'll hinge a lot on what happens when part 2 comes out. Is part 2 going to be the one that kind of expands on things, and anything that we didn't get talked about in this one, is it going to be like, okay, now I get it, now I understand, like, is that what we're in for? Is it going to be one of these things where now it's like understanding is going to be reached and we're going to be like, okay, I see what you were doing, okay, I see why you waited for this revelation. And maybe it's one of those things where it will be, just like you said, you would have been fine with Jodorowsky's huge, slog of a film. Some people may even be like, okay, let's watch it one after the other. We have both on Blu-ray. Let's watch them one after the other. Let's go to HBO Max. We'll watch one we'll watch one now, and we'll do it. We'll do the other later. Yeah. We'll have dinner, and then we'll do an intermission. We'll jump right into the other. Like, I would not be surprised at all if like that happens.
And that could, yeah. And I agree with you. It just, I want more, and hopefully part 2 will give me that deep dive that I'm craving.
Yeah.
And if I knew nothing about Dune, I would probably, I would tell people, if you know nothing about Dune, definitely go watch it, enjoy it. There's so many things to enjoy about this movie. And then go find a crib notes for Dune. And I mean, do we still do that?
I'm sure if you Google, you can find like
a good
some sort of wiki
somewhere
that will just
because I think that understanding why the characters do what they do and why they are what they are is as important as what we see on the screen. And even if it was just, passing comments, I do wish that we had the inner thoughts. That was so crucial to the book. And I think that's very crucial to the movie because so much of the action happens in those thought processes. You know what I mean?
I know. I hear you.
But I think that this movie is definitely worth watching. I think that this movie, and part 2, I think is a must see because it will probably, there's so much that really happens, and it feels so bad for the other. The miniseries did a good job. They didn't have the special effects budget, but they really deep dive into the book, and it's a very faithful representation of the book.
Yeah, well, they did a better the miniseries and the
The
whatchamacallit, the
Children of Dune or whatever
yeah,
sequel.
well, the miniseries and this one, this
Yes.
film, they did a good job like, for example, with the still suits.
Yes.
They did a really good job. You kind of understood, how they worked. The Lynch version, not really. Something
It
I
wasn't
pointed,
as clear.
yeah, something I pointed out to a friend when we were watching this version
Uh-huh.
is notice how the still suits, there's a very kind of uniformity to them. And
Right.
for example, like, Lady Jessica's, clearly it wasn't like, okay, so for the women, we're going to have it, form fitting with
True.
like a little, with like boob curves.
Right.
These were they were very utilitarian.
Right.
It's not like, well, this is a girl's still suit and this is a guy's still suit. No, none of that. And then I like the capes. I like the robes and the facial
Yes.
coverings. Like that feels like it makes sense. Like, yeah, this is what you wear in a desert environment.
And they actually did think about that when they were doing this movie, is they wanted to make it match the science. And I think they did an extremely good job of that. And I felt like they really it's very clear that this movie has a lot of thought put into it, has a lot of it makes it very realistic because the suits, oh well, of course that makes perfect sense. Other things that people wear do see, it's like, well, okay, that's logical. And it fits with our modern sensibility. There are things we know today in 2021 based on years of history, recent history, all of that stuff that we now know that there are things that I feel like they took that into effect. Okay, if we do this, people will know what this means because this ties back to that. And I think that without being, hitting you over with a 2x4, it really lets you know it really just ties in with what we know. And so there's some shortcuts in there that I think that people watching it go, oh yeah, I get that. Oh yeah, I live in a desert, or I've been to a desert, or I've been to the Middle East, and boy, that feels like that. And they did such a good job with that, which is why I can't, even though I am disappointed in this movie, it is not a bad movie. I am just too much of a prude.
Okay, hey, you know what? The fact that, that's, you still got an opinion, and the fact that you're willing to admit it can be like, yeah, I didn't like it because, I'm such a purist. That's, you know what? Honestly, that puts you above I think a lot of people nowadays who wouldn't, it wouldn't be their fault that the film did not live up to the expectation that it was like, that it has to be like this, or it has to be like that.
So many other things, like the Harry Potter movies. I watch it the first time, I can feel everything that it's missing. I watch it the second time and I enjoy it on its own. And it's like, just because a movie based on a book does not have everything in it, does not mean it is a bad movie. I think that this movie
exactly. I mean, and even
could
and look,
definitely take us on further, and then maybe additional movies. Maybe let's delve into some of the other books. And let's pull some of those in. So we, maybe you have to watch 4 movies to kind of get the whole story. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'll keep watching.
Yeah, no, I agree. And hey, you got to admit, we do get some enjoyment out of, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Yeah, no offense to Michael Gambon. No offense to Michael Gambon. I'm going to be doing that till the day I die. Sorry.
I know.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be going, did you put your name in the goblet of fire? I mean, I may not do it if I ever meet the man face to face. I will admit.
Don't.
I won't do it if I meet him face to face. I'll be respectful, but The rest of the time, I will. Anytime I see him in a movie and he has a wild look on his face, I am going to be going, "Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?"
Well, let's just wait for the next movie, and then you know, if I won't expect it to have the whole book in it, but if they continue writing, the writing was good, the acting was good, the visuals were good. If they continue at this pace and they go on into the story, I think it's going to be a very good series of movies. And I hope they go beyond movie 2. I hope they go into the additional books. I really want to see that.
Oh boy. So you do want to see on screen, you want to see Paul's son as this giant human worm thingy.
Oh, why not?
Okay.
Come
all right.
on.
Okay. All right.
I'm ready to give it a shot.
Hey, I am too. That would probably be, it would be weird, but you know what?
What the hell?
If they think they can pull, if Dennis thinks he can pull it off, go for it. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
I agree.
I just want to know, just last question before we wrap up. Do you want to see the actor that they get to that they get to play Fade? Do you want to see him in a space bikini bottom?
Oh, what the hell? If he's as cute as Sting in 1984, I'm straight.
Yes. Well, it's like
I would have enjoyed Jason Momoa in that one.
Unfortunately, given what happened to Jason Momoa's character,
yes, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's okay.
You know
let's
what?
See what we get.
Yeah, let's see what we get. All I got to say is there's a running joke between a friend of mine and I. You know, he just gets that Sting as Fade coming out with a little space, what he calls the space thong, that took him by surprise. So, we just love to go, Sting in a thong! Sting in a thong! So yeah, let's see if we get, I don't know, whoever they get.
Oh my God, that's going to be so bad. I'm trying to see if they've cast it yet. Nope, they don't have it listed yet.
Yeah, no, they don't. We'll see who they get. We'll see if they get. We'll see if they give. I know that Sci-Fi Channel Mini Fade did not get that. He did have like space sweatpants and like an open shirt. So it wasn't all bad, It wasn't,
Hey, you know what? We're
ladies got something.
Take this one movie at the time.
Yeah,
one movie at a time, and I'm just looking forward to part 2, and I hope it does not take 5 years.
Yes. No. Well, no. We know part 2. Okay. We know part 2 is coming in 2 years. It's been confirmed for.
That's true. That's
23.
True.
So we know it's coming in 2. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna have to. We are gonna have to chill for a little bit. We're gonna have patience, but it is coming. We know it's definitely coming. It's been confirmed. It's been it's been confirmed. I think we actually even have like a date. So, we even have like an exact date of when it's supposed to drop. So we just got to chill. We just got to chill while they're, while they're doing, while they're getting into pre-production, while they're calling everybody back and going, okay, we want you back. Timothy, Zendaya, Rebecca, come on back. Stellan, what's your schedule like? We got to shoot your stuff. John Cryer, we want you to be the Emperor. Probably not, but you get the idea. Like whoever they cast as the Emperor.
It'll be interesting to see, and we'll talk about it when it comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Coming in 2 years, Mark Who 42, the review of Dune Part 2.
Absolutely.
Mark your calendars. Late November, early December 2023.
I'm looking forward to it.
That is when the sleeper must awaken.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, I'm more like the sleeper needs 5 more minutes. Go away. It's Saturday. The sleeper doesn't. It's Saturday. The sleeper doesn't have to wake up for anything. Let him have his Saturday. Let the sleeper have his Saturday.
Well, and on that note, I think we will say adieu.
Yeah. And I think after this episode, I'm going to spend the rest of my day talking like Jose Freyre as the Emperor.
Oh yes. Okay.
Why have you brought me here? No, but your decision. No, but your gross mismanagement in handing the governorship of Arrakis to Raban demanded it. How dare you talk to me in that tone of voice? The late great Jose Freyre. God bless you, sir.
Gotta love him.
God bless
Okay.
you, sir. You did not ask for a toilet that's 2 dolphin heads.
Oh.
Anyway. All righty. Well, we will see everybody. We will see everybody next week with more Marku 42.
Thanks for listening to Marku 42's Universe with hosts Mark Baumgarten, Eduardo M. Freyre, Zion Quiros, and Vicky Jakubowski. This program was produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please go to our Facebook page or email us at marku42s.universe@gmail.com. You can listen to old shows at our website, marku42.com, or even our YouTube page, Marku42. Marku 42's Universe, copyright 2021.